Privilege of teaching students like Uday Kotak, Rakesh Junjunwala, Ronnie Screwwala, and today my motto has been student first. And that has, I think, gone a long way in creating a great relationship between students. I think industry, academia, and especially today, students don't want to be in classrooms. I think my most favorite lectures which I have taken are in Starbucks. That's when we worked hard, and we are very fortunate that we became a private university, Maharashtra State's first private university, a SkillTech university from the skills department.
Dr. Indu Shahani, thank you so much. What a pleasure. I mean, I have watched you all my life, from the time I was a little kid.
Oh, wow.
And to see, to actually put this little podcast together with you is a joy. So thank you for inspiring many of us. In Mumbai in particular, as a Mumbaiker, I have known you as my mayor. I have known you as
Sheriff.
Sheriff. Oh my goodness! Why do I always make a mess of this? I have known you as the sheriff of Mumbai, as an entrepreneur, but a founder, dean, teacher, principal. I think you were the student's principal, because my friends who went to HR college would talk about what was going on and what was happening there. Which of these roles do you most closely associate with all these years?
So, first of all, let me also congratulate you on IC3 10 years. And I have been associated with IC3 for the longest number of years. And I meet wonderful faculty, principals when we come to your grand programs that you do. So congratulations, and please carry this on, because as we always felt that more than counseling, it is the well-being that is so important, and you have now started doing that. So congratulations again. Now, talking about myself, I'm going to actually tell you a couple of stories. The first one is that I was a student of HR college, a college that was started by my father, Principal H.C. Malkani. And as I was graduating, there was an opportunity to do my master's. Now, where should I do my master's? And obviously, again, the thought was that stay in Mumbai. Sydenham is a great college. Why don't you do it there? I always wanted to look at IIMs and so on. And my father said, you do better here. So I went to Sydenham, and I was a fellow of Sydenham because I had some good grades in my final year of BCom. And a fellow of the college has to also teach. Sometimes, occasionally. Suddenly, in my first year of master's, I was sent to a class to teach because a professor had not turned up. It was an ascending class, and I'm teaching there. I'm talking to them, and I was told by my father that be very, very strict right from day one. So I said, sure. And things were going well when suddenly, at the back of the class, there was some noise, and it was coming from one bench. So I said, this is the time I should put my foot down, shout, and say, last bench, out. And what happened? 4 students stood up and carried the bench out. I've had the privilege of teaching students like Uday Kotak, Rakesh Junjunwala, Ronnie Screwwala, and today I was pleasantly surprised when Cyril Shroff came here to speak at our university. He said he's been my student also. So I'm so privileged that I had this benefit of teaching, I was also lured into industry. I wanted to join a multinational, and my mother always said that the satisfaction you will get from the smiles of the students will go far beyond the satisfaction you will get by selling soap, shampoo, and detergent. And so have been in this, teaching. And I think, yes, one of the things I did follow through Sydenham, then I taught for many years in NM College, and then I was vice principal of HR College, then principal of HR College. And today I have the privilege of starting Atlas SkillTech University. But I've always felt, and my motto has been student first. And that has, I think, gone a long way in creating a great relationship between students. And when they come in, yes, they may not realize that our faith in them is for them, for good for them. And also, it's only later when they realize that that faith is, in their interest, that you find students changing and the wonderful things the students have done since then.
So teacher, you're a teacher first. That's the real message that I'm taking out of this, is that
absolutely
all the different roles that you have, and so you actually sit on so many different company boards.
Yes.
So your aspiration in some way of being an entrepreneur is almost fulfilled in that sense, in that whole journey.
Yeah.
But I want to come back to certain things that you talked about along your journey. One of the things that you talked about was that students should want to come to college
yeah.
in the morning. And we at IC3, our whole focus is bringing purpose and meaning in everyday school life. And how, in my time, I don't know how it was during your days, Dr. Shahani must be much longer, but in my time, if school shut down for whatever reason, whether it rained or whatever reason, we would be thrilled to bits.
Yes.
And the last bell was the most fascinating time of the day. I'll just wait for the last bell
to go
and somehow run out of this prison called school. But you actually brought a lot of joy back, and you talked about young children wanting to go to school or wanting to go to college. And tell us a little bit about how you managed to do that. How do you actually bring that context and purpose and meaning? We use counseling, but you've done it as a leader at so many different institutions.
So, some of these things that I've done have come naturally to me. I've never looked at it at that time that I'm counseling or I'm looking after students. I'll tell you something. In Sydenham, when I taught, or NM, attendance used to be absolutely compulsory. So students would be in class. And then if you teach them the way they want to learn, right, then you do well. So I knew that they like little breaks and doing exercises in class and so on. So, and I enjoyed those also myself. So that was it. But coming to HR, the story was different. Attendance was mandatory, of course, but students would bunk and they wouldn't come. I had a lot of outstanding students who stood outside the college. How do I bring them all in? One day, a great opportunity came my way. Just the road outside HR College, 123 Dinchavacha Road, it became a no-hawker zone. Now, where would all these hawkers go? They were my canteen. And I used to also go and eat there. So where will the hawkers go? So after a long time of negotiating with the municipal corporation and talking to people, I said, can I rehabilitate them? I didn't have space. I was half a building, but behind there was some gutters where I covered up the gutters beautifully and brought all of them inside. And we called it the Butterfly Cafe. And we used to have all the best people selling, and especially one of them I would name Raju Chinese, for whom people would come. The attendance to college grew, and once the attendance to college grew, the attendance in the class grew. And you will not believe that it made a world of a difference because I had happy students. And very often I would say, what's the first thing you think of when you step out of your bed? And they would say, I would say, is it coming to college? He said, yes. Sometimes they would say, to have the Raju Bail. But never mind that. I think you have to create a variety of experiences for students in your institutions. It can't be just when they come walk in, they go to the class, study, and come out. I think even the corridors have to be fun for them. Even the staircase has to be fun for them. I think we have to create those experiences. I know, my little granddaughter and all her friends, how they enjoy the few minutes they get in the washroom, how they have fun even for those few minutes. So I think it's very important that we have to create an atmosphere where young children can give their best.
Wonderful, and thank you for sharing it. You actually, your PhD, Dr. Shahani, was a blueprint in a way, not a credential, in that, the academia industry collaboration, that whole model of bringing learning to life, bringing real world to the classroom. That journey somewhere began, and I look at the counseling laboratory pedagogy that we used to teach hundreds and hundreds of teachers and counselors now. The whole idea is to contextualize and to answer questions like, who will use what I'm teaching? Where will it be used? How will it be used? Where is it in my life right now? So as a math teacher, I used football to teach math, because I could do all of algebra and all of geometry just with football. And so the whole advocacy for us has been every teacher as a counselor first. And counseling was context, was purpose, was meaning. But you brought this to life in your different roles. And I'd love to hear a little bit about this whole idea of academia and industry collaboration. Sure. Where was it born, and the making education so real?
So very early in our university programs that we were creating, one of the programs that had come up was an advertising and marketing program. And this began in HR college. Then I brought it also with other universities that I was working with. When I brought in this program, how was I going to talk about an advertisement in the class? And how did I know the background of what made anyone create that advertisement, or what made people talk about why did they think of marketing in a particular way? And then we were very lucky because HR College and Hindustan Unilevers shared a wall. And they were the ones who were making these fantastic ads. One day, I sent a letter to their managing director, and I said, could we have some of your people to come over and talk about it? That one class that we had, and it's known as my advertising batch. And if they are at all parents now and listening to this, will definitely testify and say that what a difference it made when the people who are real, what were we teaching them? We were teaching them advertising, norms, brands, so on, but not giving the real world to them. If they came here and brought the real world, it made all the difference. And from that onwards, I started, I think HR College was one of the first colleges to start internships. They must go and work during the, there's a young girl who came to me and she said, from that advertising batch, and she said, I've got this internship, but you know what they make me do in the internship? They have some media books, which the media department works on. Then they give these books to me. And then on the 4th floor, there's another department where I have to deliver the books. Some changes are made in that. And then I'm asked to deliver these back to this. This is my internship. And she was very upset and she was crying. I said, you tell me, from the 3rd to the 4th floor, how do you go? She said, I go by the lift. I said, you have a staircase? She said, yes. I said, when you get the books in hand, go on to the staircase, look what they have done in that. Give it to the next floor, come back again, sit on the staircase, and read and see what comments were made. That is a learning. Do you know that young girl became the vice president of that advertising company years later? So I think industry, academia, and especially today, students don't want to be in classrooms. I think my most favorite lectures which I have taken are in Starbucks. Because I talk about the history of coffee, how Starbucks started, how other coffee sessions are starting. I never get out of subject when I'm doing these sessions outside. And inviting people to let them come and see it. For example, first of all, we had Tim Cook, the Apple CEO, who didn't even attend the AI summit in Delhi, but he had come to Atlas. And then we had Mr. N. Chandrasekharan, who came and spent a lot of time and talked to the students. Day before yesterday, we had Sanjeev Mehta with us, who was the head of Unilever's. And what an excellent fireside chat was done for him with the students. So I think practice and theory go together.
Emboldens us and reinforces some
Absolutely.
of the work that we've been doing at IC3 through the counseling laboratory pedagogy and actually
No, and also it makes our teachers understand.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Absolutely. I wanted to, get this last little piece from you on skills, because a lot of work that we have done, we've done that work in parts of the country or in areas where young people may not even have the opportunity to go to college.
Yes.
That they are going to end up going on the farm or supporting their families after 10th grade or 12th grade or 9th grade or 11th grade. And that privilege of going to college doesn't even exist. So what do they leave schools with?
Exactly.
They leave schools with a set of subjects.
Yeah.
And one of the things that IC3 has done with the counseling laboratory pedagogy is tell every teacher that you are going to have every subject turned into a skill. So physics has a skill, math has a skill.
Absolutely.
Now, you took it to another level with creating a university that's called SkillTech University.
Yeah.
And so, in closing, I just wanted to get get the context. I believe it was with some government skills committee that you were on.
No, so first of all, the importance of skills and how did it grow. I think when I was the sheriff of Mumbai, 2008, 2009, I worked with a lot of municipal schools around Mumbai city and jails, because the sheriff is supposed to be looking after jails. I took my students from colleges, and because I was sheriff of Mumbai, I could have a lot of colleges join hands with us and teach these students skills that are required. Can a girl stand up and speak? Can a girl write simply? What is she thinking about? How does she create her speech? How does she write her resume? Now, these were simple things. And what are the real opportunities available for a young student in a municipal school? And they worked on creativity, worked on giving them confidence, building speech writing, speaking skills, and every skill that you need, confidence in yourself, every skill that you need even today, and even our students need today. How you must dress properly when you go out, what you do. So, I mean, half the time I'm correcting people's dresses even today, but I'm in a design school, so they get away with murder. Let's talk about how did this start. After HR college, I had this opportunity of starting two standalone institutions. One was focused on design. The other one was focused on management and entrepreneurship. And both these schools were doing well. Come pandemic, we said, what are we going to do? Are we continuing? How do we go about it? We had record admissions, which shows that our model of providing skills was working very well. The degrees were coming from Bombay University. They were doing distance learning, but skills were coming from us. So how do they go ahead? That's when there was a university committee that was set up by the Skills, Entrepreneurship and Employment Department, which wanted to set up a public university. So we all worked very hard since we had the knowledge. We worked very hard. We helped them to set up the university, wrote the act, did things like this. And then the government, and these were two wonderful IAS officers who turned around and told us, look, you worked so hard. Why don't you look at turning your institutions into a private university? And that's when we worked hard, and we are very fortunate that we became a private university, Maharashtra State's first private university, a SkillTech university from the skills department. So we are very fortunate. Till today, it's doing well. I'm very thankful to all the mothers. And let me talk about just one final thing. Today, Indian universities are also doing very well. But somehow, there is a focus that children who finish their school should go abroad. Fair enough, if given an opportunity, do that. But I think the undergraduate education should be in India because students are still young and they need to first work on what they would like to specialize in, which comes at the master's level. So the undergraduate level, we do encourage students to be here. And now we are very, very fortunate that the national education policy has opened up pathways. For example, Atlas has pathways with Northeastern University, Boston. So you can do your 2-3 years here, get your certificate and diplomas and all, and complete your degree there. And somewhere you do two things simultaneously, and we give you the credit and you get your final degree. So there are many ways that Indian universities. Just this morning, we've had a beautiful conference with O.P. Jindal University coming here with us and working with us on AI and the importance of AI in education. And we had a panel discussion and we've all worked together. I think seeing O.P. Jindal, seeing other universities, Indian universities are doing well.
Thank you for sharing that. And as we continue on this journey to bring counseling to every school, purpose to every child, bring well-being to every educator and student, we're grateful for all that you helped co-create. In the last 10 years, I think your presence and the support we got originally from ISD and ISME and then from Atlas SkillTech University has been invaluable. Many educators are being trained, many teachers and principals are getting training. Many schools are delivering on the promise of guidance and context and counseling. And this has a lot to do with your contribution. So thank you for making that contribution.
And with all the good work that you are doing, we are always here for you to support you. You can hold all your sessions at Atlas SkillTech University whenever you need, because we are the only campus within corporates. So come over.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you,
Welcome.
Dr. Shahani.